Okay, so I'm the guy that stands up with his fly down. And you may also know that I do branding. But what you may not know is, and hopefully you'll learn more about it today, I also paint. So what I want to do today is I want to share with you kind of a portfolio of my paintings, but tell you what I believe your businesses can learn from painting. So let's start. This is a portrait I did of my daughter Lauren. And what I learned from this is the importance of the details. But it's not just the details in like a knowing your numbers kind of way that Aki talks about. It's talking about knowing which are the right details. Because I think all too often we can spend way too much time on all the details and we can get bogged down with that. So I believe if you can sweat the important details, it can make a really big difference to your business. For instance, you see the eyes there. Anybody want to guess what percentage of time on the painting I spent on those eyes? Anyone? Sorry? 80%. 80% was spent on those eyes. And the rest were brushed in. Because I believe if you get the eyes right, you get the painting right, especially with portraits. If you're doing a landscape and you get the eyes right, well, obviously that's a little bit wacky. Just throwing that one out there. But also, look at the moles. My daughter has these moles on her chest, and those took me 3 seconds to do, but they really added to what was a true portrait of her. So yeah, what details should you really focus on? Here's a landscape I did, Sunrise Park, Lake Bluff. What I learned from this is you can go to a landscape and see a landscape every single day, and every single day it is different. Well, how often do we spend the time looking at our business in terms of we just think we're seeing the same thing every day? Well, the beauty is, especially when you're painting, is you can show up every single day and see a different point of view. Here's a different point of view of the same place. And there's drama in every single day, and there's drama in every single landscape. So, how are you seeing your landscape? How are you seeing your business? Are you seeing it just the same every day? Or are you looking for the opportunities inherent in every single aspect of your business? How often are you getting out of your comfort zone when it comes to your business? How often do you do that? This is a piece I did, and I wondered what would happen, because I'd seen wood rotting outside, I'd seen wood being affected by sunlight. So I took a panel board, this is a 4 foot by 2 foot piece of panel board, and I masking taped areas of the sky, and I threw bleach on it. I threw handfuls of nails where you can see the trees. I threw a handful of nails on the bottom, and I just let it alone for 6 months. I didn't know what was going to happen to it. And then after 6 months, I took off the tape. And I think it came out pretty spectacular. It was a completely different piece for me, but the point that I learned from this was, you know, sometimes you just got to take your skill sets that you have and explore new avenues. So how are you getting out of your comfort zone? What can you try today in your business, which is basically using the skill sets you have, but thinking about it differently? The art of the quick draw. This was a painting I did in 10 minutes. I like to go to these groups where you get to have a model and you paint. But what you have to do is you have to learn how to, when you have 10 minutes to capture something, you have to learn how to cut to the chase and perform the painting as quickly as you can. And this one, because I had to cut to the chase, I said, well, I'm only going to use 2 colors. I'm going to use red and I'm going to use black, and I'm going to try different techniques to capture the moment as quickly as possible because I don't have time. And I think all too often we forget that as a skill set when we're painting, when we're in business. Sometimes the quick decisions are the smartest decisions because we channel all that experience we have, we channel our gut feeling, and we just put it out there. And this is actually one of my favorite paintings because I felt I captured a moment very quickly. Is it anatomically completely correct? No, but it captures a fleeting moment. I think that can be powerful. Sometimes you just need to get it out of the way, get out of the way of your processes and just put it out there. I got approached by a customer and she said, oh, I'd love you to do a portrait of my dog, but could you actually come back when the dog doesn't have a cone on its head? So I said, the dog's got a cone on his head? That's awesome. Because, as Rock knows, I got a like a warped mentality to most things. So I said, well, I would love to do a portrait of your dog in a head cone. She said, but I'm not sure I'd like to see that. So, well, I'll tell you this, I'll do a portrait of it. If you don't like it, I'll redo it. I would have just painted the cone out, but she didn't know that. But what happened is she fell in love with it. She said, oh my God, you've just captured a moment in time. And it's kind of wacky and funny, and it is very different. So look for the stories and the opportunities in your business. Sometimes we go along and we go from A to B to C to D. Sometimes it's good to go from A to D to Z and back to A again. I live my life like that. How sad. Stay with me. There are certain days when you show up for your business and you just don't feel like doing it. Those are the days where I do what I would, in painting terms, do the broad strokes. When I do a painting, I don't start in one corner and then work my way up to the top corner, so it's all finishing as it goes. I do broad strokes. So this was a piece I did. My father's ashes are spread right here at this mountaintop just above Manchester in England. And it was a blizzardy day just like this. And I wanted to come back and capture it. But I didn't feel like doing the painting. I had this big canvas and I thought, I just don't feel like doing this. So what I did is I just did all the big blocking stuff, the kind of stuff that you don't have to think about. But what happened was, as I was doing those big broad strokes, I got sucked into it and I completed it in, actually this took me about 3 hours to do because I just attacked it. So what are you doing in your business that you can attack? What are you doing in your business where, when you don't feel like it on that day, what are the broad strokes that you can do? I urge you to look at that. This was a new technique I developed called acid etching washing, and the sky was done in this, actually no, I'm totally lying. I'm totally lying. This is actually the edge of a curbstone. So what you're seeing is the edge of a curb, and the brown area there is the mud on the roadside. But the perspective, I saw it and I thought, wow, there's a landscape there. So the foreshortening of the photograph turned into what looks like a great painting. So what opportunities are you missing? I see art in everything. I know, again, very, very scary of me to be like that, but I do see art in everything. And this curbstone, it's amazing how something so mundane you can make into a beautiful representative piece of work. So what are you missing in your business? What opportunities are out there for you to enhance and experiment with and play with? In the same vein, does anybody want to guess what this is? If you heard this one before, don't tell people. Does anybody want to have a guess what this is? This is actually dryer lint, sky, and a sock. For real, because I was like taking when you take the guard out of the dryer and there's that dryer lint, I was thinking, oh, that's kind of cool. It comes out like a sheet. What do I do with it? And this was actually something my brother developed. So I just kind of followed his lead on it. I compressed it under glass and then had one sock. So I just dropped the sock under it to define the landscape. And it looks pretty cool, I think. If you go in close enough, there are hairs and probably bugs in there. But I kind of like that stuff. So take another look at the way you do business. You've all got these tools, and there's probably things that you can do that you've not even begun to dream of. I love the inherent drama in paintings. This was one I did when I first came here 28 years ago. It was a house I owned, and it was when you could have fires still, by the way. The smell of burning leaves, and the police weren't kind of showing up to stop you. And I wanted to capture the fire. I think had I not had the smoke in that painting, I think it would be a less effective painting. It'd be a nice painting, but I think the smoke added to it because, again, it's capturing a moment. What's happening in your day? What's happening in your scene? What's happening around you every day where you can bring out the drama and tell stories that are just there to be observed and seen? Stories really engage people. So if you can spin what it is you're in business for into a meaningful story, something that makes people stop and think and see a little bit more, that's a powerful thing. We all have these skill sets in our businesses. We all have a set of tools, and we tend to get siloed into working the same way and the same tools every day. So as you know, hopefully now, I'm a painter, but I thought, what happens if I just take denim, regular denim, so, you know, I'm the only guy in the whole of Lake County who's actually walked into Joann's and bought material, just so you know. Because, oh, denim, I want to get some denim. So I bought some denim, and I got industrial strength bleach, and then I explored and painted using bleach. I'm using the same skills, I'm using slightly different materials, but I'm trying to achieve a different effect. Well, I kind of ask you, how many things are you doing that you're missing opportunities to retool slightly using your skill sets and think about your business differently? And by the way, an homage to Hansa Coffee, I do have a big denim piece hanging in Hansa Coffee Lake Bluff, and it's part of the furniture. In fact, part of the furniture enough to, I've seen people sat by the painting and leaning on it, and I want to go, excuse me, can you just lean off the painting there? So that's original Phil Gator. Yeah. I was lucky enough to be in France last year, and I set myself the task of doing a painting every day. I was there for 2 weeks, fantastic. And those of you familiar with Impressionist painting, it's the region in which Cézanne painted, or Cézanne, or however you want to say it, how you wacky Americans say it. So I wanted to do an homage to Cézanne. So this was a town called Correns, and I just studied the way he worked, so I did it. And this was a very, very quick painting, because again, I didn't want to overthink it, I just used my gut. So what masters are there in your industry that you can learn from? And this isn't about going and copying the painter or the artist or the business or the industry. This is about looking at people who are considered great and learning from it. I love this. I'm a fan of this painting because I'm a fan of Cézanne, and I thought, it was cool. I learned something new about what I can do. You all have the opportunity to do that within your industries. So who are the masters in your industry that you can learn from? I'm also a big MC Escher fan. If anybody know MC Escher, he does those kind of different points of view. He did the eternal staircase, where when you look at it, it's continually going up. This is a painting that, there are many levels on this. There's a surface level where the leaves are. There's a piece of grass which is extending over the surface. There's the reflection of the trees. There's the bottom of the pool, which is just delineated by a slight glow. Then there's the goldfish. So there's so many levels going on there, but it hangs together as one piece. So how much depth and how many levels can be seen from your business? You want people to see you as the one entity you are, but maybe there's an opportunity for you to get your potential customers and others to see your business differently. And a lot of it's the way you talk. A lot of it's about hiring me to do your branding, by the way. Shout out to Brandstorm. Know your audience. Okay, I got invited to do a painting for a baseball art show, and I said, well, I know nothing about baseball. I really don't. But I do know about humor. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do a painting called Hari Kari Krishna, or Hari Krishna for short. So this was Hari Krishna, and it got best in show. So go figure. I know nothing about baseball. So, and it is for sale, by the way.
Looks a little bit like luck with that.
It does look right, scarily enough.
Let him do his presentation.
Yes. This is a painting that I did of my son, and I chose to have him looking away from the viewers. And I was lucky enough to be in where they take an artist and you sit in front of an audience, and the audience bombards questions to a critic, and the critic just says, here's what I'm seeing, and the audience said it's the saddest, scariest painting I've ever seen. And I'm like, going, really? I think it's joyous and, but anyway, so it's interesting how you can intrigue your customers in ways you never even imagine. So how are you intriguing your customers? I got my 2-minute warning there. I do. I'm nearly done. Coming around the corner. Sometimes you're just going with your gut, like the painting of the girl in red I did. This was, I had a challenge. I wanted to capture a very, very complicated sky over, this is a picture of Lake Bluff Beach. I wanted to capture a very, very difficult sky. So the sky actually took me about 30 seconds because I used my gut and I said, okay, I'm just going to block it in and go for the best, but use the white space as much as possible. So I sort of did it, and then I stepped back and looked at it, and I thought, there's nothing more I can do to the sky. It is effectively ready. And I think sometimes we miss the opportunity to just go with our guts when we're making business decisions. So what can you do today to just go with your gut and try things a little bit differently? Think about speed. Speed is good, I think. And then finally, involve your kids. Rock does a fine job of that. All everybody here are his children. Even Tony stood at the back there is one of his children. There he is. It's his grandson. He looks amazing. Yeah, he does. So this is just a finishing painting. This is my son Liam, and I use my kids all the time as models. But he's doing communications now at UNC Asheville, and I want to pull him into my business and hopefully pass on what I've learned. So imagine this kind of thinking for your brand. Phil Gator, Brandstorm. Thank you.